let's introduce another term that for some of our listeners will be familiar with, others this will be new information. You want to pay close attention to the term EBITDA, EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. And ideally, you're looking for earnings in your practice to be in the 18 to 20% range or higher, 18 to 20%. And doctor, as an owner dentist, one of the ways that you have to set up your accounting is that you pay yourself as a dentist like you would any other dentist in your practice. So if you're paying your associate 30% of collections, you pay yourself 30% of your collections. And then you'll also have the earnings from your practice. Hopefully those earnings will be 18 to 20%. That would be the goal, to get them there. And then that's also your income as well if you're the owner. But I want you to think about paying yourself as a dentist. That's something that most dentists don't do. Now, Naren, I know you don't look at profit and loss statements every day, but is what I'm talking about making sense?
Absolutely, Gary. It's making total sense.
Yeah. And then now when we talk about growing, we can either acquire a practice and grow, we can start a practice and grow, or if we have multiple locations, we can grow each one. And so when it comes to buying a practice, I happen to think that there's a sweet spot. If you're going to acquire, I happen to think there's a sweet spot in the size of practice to look at buying. Now, again, there could be all kinds of wiggle room on this based on what you're finding in your market. But I like the idea of buying an $800,000 practice in collections. That's kind of a sweet spot because you can put an associate in that practice, and that practice will cash flow from day one, has enough dentistry to cash flow from day one. And I would look at growing that $800,000 practice to 2.5 to 3 in as short a period of time as possible. This is something we often do in my coaching work. You know, some of our listeners may not know, we have, in my coaching, we have a variety of types of clients. We have private practice dentists that are looking at optimizing their practice. That's certainly a strong element of our coaching. But we also work with doctors that want to put together a small group. And I've seen this happen where they follow my advice. They look for $800,000 practices to buy. And over a period, this would be aggressive and this would require a lot of focus. But that practice grows to 2.5 to 3 in 3 to 4 years. That's pretty attractive, wouldn't you say, Naren?
It is totally attractive. Talking about growth, Gary, it is probably from a return on investment standpoint, it could be the most lucrative thing you can do, right? Because when you buy a practice, you're going to pay a lot of money. And if you're going to do a startup and then grow it again, you're going to spend a lot of money in leasehold improvements and then getting those first 1,000, 2,000 patients. But if you, let's say, buy a practice that's already doing $1 million, and you can make it do $1.5 million, or reduce your expenses, like your marketing expenses. Instead of PPO, you get Google patients. Those extra dollars and the extra profits can be very lucrative for an entrepreneur.
Profitability on your growth dollars is so much better than profitability on your first dollars because you already covered all your fixed expenses. Right. And so if you want to maximize your EBITDA, there's 2 very specific strategies I want you to focus on. And this is what we teach our clients to do. Number 1 would be to revisit the insurance profile of the practice. Most practices that you buy that is $800,000 are going to be PPO practices. In fact, maybe your mothership is still a PPO practice. If it is, you're going to have a hard time getting your EBITDA to 18 to 20%. You know, it can be done, but you have to pedal so fast and you incur all that extra overhead because you're giving away 45 to 50% that it's the hard way to do this.
Right.
What I would strongly encourage you to do is look at reducing your insurance dependence. You don't necessarily have to go all the way. If that scares you to go all the way to fee for service, we get it. But I always tell my clients that we want to help you reduce your insurance dependence. If your goal is to go all the way to fee for service, I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader because that's where you're going to get the best end result. But you don't have to go all the way to see very significant improvement in your profitability. So look at reducing that footprint, that insurance footprint, because that'll enhance your model. Look at doing that in your mothership first before you expand, because now you've got the proof of concept that you could do it and you've had experience doing it. And the next time is going to be easier. The next time, the next time, the next time, it's going to be easier. And then the second thing you want to do is you want to have a proven engine to supply you with new patients. because we're not going to count on Delta anymore to provide us new patients. You're going to go to a better source by any way you want to look at the Delta. You know what that better source is, Naren? It's Google. So you want to have great marketing, digital marketing, and you want to have the way I think to do that today in 2022 and beyond uh, is is maximizing your search engine optimization, your organic search engine optimization. So you're not paying Google, but you're showing up on page one because you've earned it. And that's where all of a sudden, multiple locations can really play in your favor, and you can dominate Google.